Hello, all you hardcores out there. How are you doing? It's Russell from Poker's Corner. Today we've got the hardcores hardcore back with a vengeance. It's Big Kent. How are you doing, Kent?
Good morning, Russell.
8 on a Wednesday morning, Christmas week. What are we doing? Have we got no lives?
We're just dedicated to being hard. No, it is. We're not dedicated. We're just completely peed off at what's going on in boxing. I think that's what it is.
Yeah. Have you had a good Christmas, Kent, with your family?
Yeah, it was nice. Christmas is a nice time of year, but it's also, I think I think of others. There's families out there that watch and people out there lost loved ones, and I kind of think of them as well. But Christmas time of year, it's great for children.
Yeah, I always think of people who've lost their people close to them who died, and people in jail who shouldn't be there. People who might have nicked a bit of bacon from the shop and they're in prison, and then you've got other people that just get suspended sentences for stuff that's way more serious. And then obviously there's people in hospital. I always think about that.
Yeah, it's a great time of year, but it's also for people the complete opposite, and you just have to think of people like that. There's people out there living on the streets and stuff, and there's people who can't maybe afford to get their children iPads and phones. I don't have any children, but you look at what children get now, and it's a lot of pressure on family. But it was a nice time of year.
Yeah, my kids gave me a list each a few weeks ago. So what's this? It's our Christmas list, wish list. You're having a laugh, aren't you? I wanted to do something like that when I was a kid. You used to have a look at Argos book, didn't you? But you weren't there on the list. I wouldn't. My dad was a coal miner. So it's something you wouldn't do, but obviously, here you go, Dad, there's your list. All right, that's one. I watched, my head's a bit all over at the moment. I don't really have much skip. I watched final episode of that World War II in colour, on Netflix.
Yes. I remember seeing that on TV. Was it the History Channel? It's on the History Channel, is that right?
I think so, yeah. It showed you that Dresden bombing and the Hiroshima and all that. Oh, God, man.
There's a great book, Russell, Dresden Unchained.
Yeah.
Have a look at that. It's an Amazon book. It was by a guy still alive, and he wrote about, he was stationed and he stayed. He actually ended up living in Dresden the rest of his life. Very, very good book. I would recommend that for you.
Yeah. Okie dokie then. There's only one place to start. Dillian Whyte, the can man. Anybody who wants it can get it if they're over 40. And Tyson, Pinocchio, Fury. What's going on here, Ken? What's the story?
So Russell, so say you had a business, right? And you were paying somebody a tenner an hour to work for you, right?
Like these here.
So you had you had a worker on tenner an hour, and he came in there the next day and says, Russell, I want £100 an hour from now on. What would you say?
F off. I wouldn't say, be diplomatic, Russ. We might need him down the line. I'd just say, F off. That's it. That's how I am. I have no filter.
We all go on about, the promoters, and we all say about Bob Arum, and we say about Al Heyman. We go on about the Mayweathers, Leonard, Albie. We go on about Frank Warren, and there seems to be a transparency at the minute where we have Eddie, and Bob just doesn't care. Bob is just coming out and saying everything and saying, I actually believe Bob Arum at the minute.
Listen, Bob Arum, He's one of the biggest liars in boxing, mate. But everything's pointing towards Dillian Whyte having no go now, isn't it? He just doesn't want to take a challenge on, does he?
No, well, you know, the whole thing with the purse was his last fight against Pavakin only 300K lodged purse, and now he wants 10 million US dollars. Come on.
He got 300 grand in his last fight, Dillian Whyte, yeah? They've offered him 5.5 guaranteed, and then if it does better, he'll get more than that, which is same as what Eddie Hearn offered him to fight Joshua. Not that back. It looks like his pricing is sent out on this now. With the Joshua one, who were going on about rematches down the line, but you negotiate that if you win, don't you? Worry about winning first. And now it's just pricing is sent out. There's always a story with Dillian Whyte, and there's always a story. I don't know who's advising him, but they haven't got a clue. Whatever happened to just getting on with fight? Just get in with Tyson and take your licks.
You know, you go back 20 years, and you look at Lennox Lewis when Lennox Lewis got knocked out by Oliver McCall. You look at the time when Lennox Lewis got knocked out by Hasim Rahman in Johannesburg. You know, there was never any problems with Lewis working with any other promoter. You know, you look at the Rahman fight, the rematch. It was a Don Keane show, and the fight was still made. They still took the fights and just got on with it. Now in boxing, it's like you're not even getting a title shot, and guys are turning down fights because of rematch clauses and rematch percentages. Boxing, honestly, what is going on? What is going on? Do these guys even want to fight?
Well, it looks to me like they all want to be businessmen because they've got people in their ear rolls and up their arseholes. Or like I've just said, who is advising Dillian Whyte, the can man? Anybody who wants it can get it, as long as they're over 40.
Russell, like you go back, right? And you go back to the early 80s when Hagler had to go to court. Hagler had to take Bob Arum to court to get a title shot, you know. So you think about then, to even get a title shot, you had to go through, you had to do accident.
You mean in early 80s?
Yes, in the 80s, yeah. And think about it. If Marvin Hagler got knocked out by someone like Povatkin, do you honestly think he would have got a title shot down the road then?
No.
No. So he should be thankful to even get a title shot. And you know, it's history's repeating itself again. You know, as you say, this is the second time he's turned down, you know, 5 million purse, 6 million purse. That's a lot of money.
He's turned down a lot of other stuff as well, though, hasn't he? He's turned down Ortiz and Wild, and we don't know what purses were for that. The point I want to make with Dillian Whyte, right, is this. His last fight, he got 300 grand. Do we agree on that?
Yeah.
Right. They've offered him 25% or 5.5 million guaranteed, and then there's the upside. It might do loads of pay-per-views, so we could still probably get 10 or more. It's possible, but it's guaranteed 5.5 mil.
Yeah.
He's 300 grand in his last fight. He's not going to get a bit. He's not going to be getting much more than that in his next fight, is he?
No.
Because he don't want to fight anybody who's pay-per-view, which is a hard fight. Dillian Whyte just wants to fight people and try and get, because they're not going to put Dillian Whyte against somebody like Povetkin on pay-per-view DAZN that get laughed at for one of the first pay-per-views. So Sky, he could get away with it because they just wanted to earn God, didn't they, Sky? They just wanted to move on, and now they're shining in light now, aren't they? They've come from darkness, Sky, they're shining in light. But Dillian Whyte, he's had ample opportunity to fight for a world title. I don't want to hear all these gimps emailing me, going on about, well, Dillian Whyte's got his arbitration and this and that. Get a grip of yourselves. He's had over 3 years to take that out, to go to arbitration. Over 3 years. He was a blocker. That's all he was, a blocker. And look at the position he's in now. He's in no man's land. He might not get a title shot while 2024 now, or end of 23.
I looked last night at the WBC rankings, and I follow the rankings quite a lot. I like to have a look at the rankings, and I noticed last night that the WBC had updated their rankings on November the 26th. Miraculously, Robert Helenius appeared at number 13 out of nowhere. Andy Ruiz is in the top 5, so that constitutes for a voluntary defense. A voluntary defense is down to number 11 to 15, so that works out fine. The rules actually state that in the rule book that there's some sort of rule there that they can, if you take a fight that is in the position that better the sport, they will allow it. So I don't see how Dillian Whyte is going to get anything off the WBC. It is just, as you say, whoever is managing him, I don't know what they're on or what they're thinking, because they're going to make this so much worse for themselves.
Well, Dillian Whyte manages himself, but he's got advisors on him, legal people around him. But they don't know what they're doing. Right, let me look at it like this. Dillian Whyte's saying he wants 45% because he's interim champion, but is it? He got knocked out by Povetkin, and we're interim belt online at rematch. I'm not so sure.
I think it was, Russell.
Right.
I think it was. Yeah, I definitely think it was. And seems to be, I don't know if I'm getting this wrong, but Bob Arum and Frank Warren say that it should be 80-20. Now, in the WBC rules, they state that it can't be more than 60-40. So there is a bit of back and forth there. I don't know if it's based on your last purse, but this is going to be an absolute shambles. You know, if you're offered £5.5 million plus upside and plus whatever, I think that's a good deal, considering, Russell, in the UK, there's no crowds. We don't know when crowds are going to be allowed back. And America is kind of the same. They're kind of going to have to adjust it somewhere where there is. So what's the problem, Russell? What is the problem?
Is Dillian Whyte the most avoided? Or is he the avoider?
Well, I think about it like this, Russell, and I spoke to you last night, and we look at the heavyweight dynamic, and we look at Matchroom at the minute. They're losing. Their high profile fighters are losing quite a lot now, and I think Eddie Hearn knows that Joshua is going to lose the Usyk in the rematch, no matter what coach he has in his corner. You know, and what they're looking at after that is Dillian Whyte against Joshua. So if you have Joshua losing and you have Dillian Whyte losing, that fight is absolutely pointless and it doesn't sell out a stadium. But if Dillian Whyte gets another win against anybody out of the top 40 and Joshua losses, they can build it up and they could say, yeah, well, Joshua's coming off another loss and Dillian's won again, and that's going to be probably the last big cash out fight for the two of them and for Matchroom in UK in Stadia, because who else is going to take it? But that's how I see that. That's how I see it down the line. Okay,
well, this is how I look at it. This March arbitrations worked out all right for Warren and Fury, because what they can do now is get Fury in against a top 15 guy who's a knockover like Elinas, right? Get him and then park Fury up till Christmas, and then that's 2022 wrote off for Dillian Whyte. Dillian Whyte could end up fighting somebody else because he's inactive and get beat, couldn't
he? Russell, you know this, well, like, how many camps has Dillian Whyte come through where he's either been injured or he's carried a really bad injury in the fight, and wear and tear, you know, he's getting on in his career. He's in his mid to late 30s, So even doing a camp to fight anyone is getting harder, never mind getting ready to fight Fury or Joshua. So you're right. And I think if he's going to have that struggles in camp, he should have just took that Joshua fight for 5.5 million. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah. All right then. If AJ beats Usyk, where does it leave Whyte?
He's nowhere, nowhere, because when that happens, if that happens, the first thing that's going to be done is they're going to try their best to make the Fury fight, because they know that's the only fight that makes sense. If it doesn't make money, it doesn't make sense. So that's the only fight that makes big money.
Yeah. You feel that Dillian Whyte it's kind of like an old man's land. I mean, this is how I look at it, right? Since Dillian Whyte joined Eddie Hearn and had that fight with Joshua, there's been like 19 or 20 world title fights, and he's not been in one of them, has he? He's not even fought for a European. I mean, what level is he at? Would you say? Would you say he's European level?
Yeah, because go back and you look at Joseph Parker. No, I don't rate Joseph Parker as a world. Maybe when he fought Ruiz and he fought like Huey, he was kind of at world level then. But after that, he hasn't been at world level. I thought he was terrible against AJ. He done nothing. He lost to Dillian Whyte. Did he lose? It was a very tight fight. It could have went either way. You look at you look at the he fought Marius Vac, that I thought Vac pushed him in that fight. He wasn't fit for it. Then you go down and look at the other fights there. Really was the guy who's Bridgerweight world champion now. We call him the B sample, where the B sample was. What do you call that guy? Oscar Rivas. Was he even heavyweight at the time? And he dropped him. Then you go in and you look at the other fights now. Povetkin was way on the slide. He get knocked out by him. He come back, he beat him in a rematch. He looked absolutely done. So really, at the minute, is he fighting at world level? No, he definitely isn't. Put him in against the likes of Tony Yoka. How would he do?
Dillian Whyte gets beat against Yoka. Dillian Whyte will be looking for an Elenius fight or Ariola. Something like that he'll be looking for next. An easy one.
Yeah.
Or a Chisora free trilogy.
So I looked at the ratings again, as I said last night, and Yoka is in at number 11 now in WBC. He's climbing, and he hasn't even been fighting. He's fighting Martin Bocole next month, and it's for the WBC International. So I can see the WBC. I can see someone is getting him up the rankings, and it won't be long before Tony Yoka's in the top 5 WBC. So what's going to happen then?
Yoka, Joe Joyce, Ergovic. You never get a mention from these Chisoras and Whites, do they? And Joshua's, do they?
No.
None of them mention them, do they?
I think we always talk about Frank Warren and Bob, and you say, who's advising Dillian Whyte, right? Who's advising him? Who's managing him?
Stevie Wonder's advising him, isn't it?
And they have just did what Bob and Frank Warren want. They have just dug themselves a bigger hole that they're not going to go out of. You know, that is exactly what they want. That's the excuse that they wanted. And you can't really blame Fury or Bob or Frank because they're the WBC world champion. Why should they wait on Dillian Whyte's case to have a fight? Because they've been inactive really 2 years with this whole Wilder rematch trilogy. So I don't see anything wrong with them taking a fight in the interim.
If Fury fights somebody mediocre next, he'll get slaughtered. Whyte's then out the way, but if Joshua beats Usyk or vice versa, a unification supersedes any mandatory. So Dillian Whyte gets put on back burner. But what if we have a 2 fights out of it or a trilogy? Whyte could be out of action, never get his title shot ever. He could be an old man.
It says that, Russell, in the WBC rules and regulations. It says if there's a fight, if it's approved unification, that will supersede any mandatory. So I think they've been played. I think Frank and Bob have absolutely played them. When they seen that the arbitration course starts in March, it starts in March. How long could this go on for? Could it go on
forever?
Yeah. So I think they've just played them. They've laughed them. They've laughed them out. You look at the boxing rankings, and you know there could have been. Look at even Daniel Dubois. You know, Dubois got beat by Joyce, and now he's WBA #1. You know, and look how he's being managed. It's just absolutely laughable, Russell. It really is laughable.
Yeah. Okay then. Derek Walchisora, where does he go now? Is he heading for Skid Row, or are they going to scramble his brains even more at Matchroom?
I listened to one of your last videos before Christmas with Big Richard from Rotherham, my big mate, and he spoke so true about Del Boy. You know, it's getting to the stage now where they need to look at his health. You know, the board need to turn around and say, what's the board doing? I've never seen a worse decline. Maybe Clark Frampton's last fight is a big decline in his performance, you know, with age. And you look at Del Boy's fight there, you know, he had no balance, he couldn't move his head, he had no snap in his punches. You know, you could even see the difference than Del Boy working with David Haye and not working with David Haye. And you could see the difference in Del Boy when he was working with David Haye and when he was working with Don Charles. You know, there's a decline there. So I don't want to see Del Boy fight again, Russell, and his interest. I don't want to see him fight again. And he made Joseph Parker look like Ernie Shavers. He made Joseph Parker look like Ernie Shavers.
They made Andy Lee look like Manny Stewart, didn't they?
I'll say, Russell, and to be honest with you, then Hearn comes out the next day saying that he wants to put him in with Deontay Wilder. What is going on?
Not good, mate. Not good. Okay. Boxer size, Ben Davidson, aka Benny from Crossroads. He's put some out on Instagram going on about what wins he's had this year. A lot of them are debutants, and he's gone on about the Haney wins, but when he is seconds in the corner, he weren't the chief trainer, was he? And yet he's forgot to mention that when you were in the corner with Mark Tibbs, that we lost with Billy Joe Canelo. And he's forgot to mention Jack Bateson beat that Mahmood, didn't he, with Ben Davison as trainer. So why can't he put his losses on? And what are you putting debutants on for, Ben? This is not the first time you've done it. If you're doing it because you want to be weapon at week, fuck off. You've had your weapons at week this year, you prick. You're just trying to stay relevant, aren't you, Ben? In case Jack Catterall ices Taylor. But I don't know why he's bragging off about what he's done. What's he done with anybody from debut? What? It's another Coldwell, isn't it? It's another Coldwell, isn't it? Is another cuckoo taking people's eggs. That's how I look at it.
It's just getting to the stage now where I don't listen to any of the videos. I can't. I can't listen to them talking about themselves. You know, you go back in the day and you look at Joe Gallagher's one is the only British trainer to win the Ring Magazine Trainer of the Year, right? Many domestic British champions has he got, many Commonwealth, European,
We
many
had
world.
61 champions he's had, hasn't he, Joe? You saw soon somebody said that.
When was the last time you seen Joe put something on like that there? Never. You know, I think trainers need to realize that they're there to train the fighters for performance and safety. It's not about them. It's absolutely not about the trainer. If it's about the trainer all the time and they're making it about themselves, what are they playing at? You know, I think it's a bit of a joke. You know, it's not their record. They're not getting in the ring, taking the punches and getting hit and doing the sparring, whatever. So I just hate it when coaches and managers make it about themselves. You know, look at Jimmy Tibbs. Look at the many world champions Jimmy Tibbs has had. Look at the many champions Joe Gallagher's got. You know, look at the other great trainers there in the UK. You don't see them rambling off about fighters' performances. It's not his performance. It's the fighters, and it just completely does my head in.
Go on. How's Eddie Hills been frozen out by the Americans?
Absolutely. He was frozen out from day one, Russell.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, you look at.
Well,
you know, he went into their territory with the zone. He overpriced the market, and he said openly, "I'm going to destroy the pay-per-view model in America because it's not relevant anymore. It's too dear. We're the zone. We have a subscription. You're getting ripped off." Surely that's not the way of cohering, you know, your American colleagues into doing business with you.
Yeah. Bradley Skeet against that Amraz or whatever it's called. It's all gone quiet on that, hasn't it?
Absolutely. What's the board said about it, Russell?
I think they said they were going to order a rematch or something, but I don't see anybody talking about a rematch. That kid's a big ticket seller, and they're not going to want to put him in with Bradley Skeet. Where it leaves a bad taste in my mouth is Bricktop. We're hanging out at back of Bradley Skeet a few years ago, and now he didn't have he didn't go out to bat for him, did he? Something that happened on his show that were blatant. If that were happening to one of Bricktop's fighters, there'd be hell on, wouldn't there?
Absolutely. You know, you look at back in the day when Bradley Skeet was fighting regularly. He was the champion. He was British champion, Commonwealth champion, fought for multiple trinket belts. He had a ranking with the WBO for Manny Pacquiao at the time. And they were building his fights up for like Box Nation subscription. So he was very, very active. And as I say now, he's kind of at the tail end of his career, and it doesn't really seem relevant. He was brought in as an opponent. Once you're getting brought in as opponent, you're not really gonna, and you're not the A side anymore. It just goes to show you what the promoters will do for you. But to be honest with you, you know, it worked out at the perfect time for Frank, because there's going to be no shows now for the whole month of January and maybe February. So by the time that, you know, February, March, that will not be mentioned, that will not be spoken about.
Yeah, okay. Jake Paul, Tommy Fury, what do you think about everything that's gone on? People, the whisper behind the scenes, what people are telling me is that Fury had no intentions of fighting Jake Paul. That's Tommy Fury, by the way, not his dad. And they just did it for the PR. What do you think?
It's bittersweet. it was smart doing that, but really long term, it's not smart because he got a lot of PR out of it. Short term PR. If it would have been long term PR, he would have took the fight and maybe had 2 or 3 fights in America against that type of opposition and earned a lot of money. He's going to come back to here and he's going to be fighting those not in 40 and not in 100 guys again for next to nothing. I think if he was going to make something out of boxing and get some money, make some money out of boxing, the only way for him to do that is go to America and fight those type of YouTube guys, because really when he gets to area level, he's going to be found out.
Do you feel that boxers don't really give a shit, or 95% of them, about boxing fans? They just chat nonsense on the pals platforms and just pay us all lip service, and then we're left wanting all the time. Do you feel that? That's how I feel at the moment. And I've got a long list of stuff I could reel off here, but it's
So
boring. But what do you think?
I'm going to throw that back at you, Russell, right? And I'm going to ask you, what has, boxing's a sport that gives back right from the start. What has boxing give back to fans in 2021?
Well, we haven't got Fury Joshua, but we were told that we're a done deal. Tyson Fury's words. It's a done deal. Thank you, Daniel Kinahan. Well, it obviously wasn't a done deal. When was that? June 2020. So we're 18 months on from that, aren't we now? We're nowhere near to getting in the ring. None of them. Wilder never got in with Joshua, but they flew him over and give him a pundit job for Vladimir versus Joshua at Wembley and said, Wilder's next, he fights the winner. Never happened. Shit talkers. Off with their heads.
Even at the time that there was Bellew and Wilder were having a bit of a spat on Twitter, and Tony was like, yeah, I'll fight him. And I think he even said,
Tony Bellew.
Yeah. And I think he said, I think that night that Wilder was over working for Sky, they came face to face, and Tony was like, no way am I fighting him. He's a monster. He is way too big. So yeah, I agree with you. The whole thing at the time about proof of funds, I think Eddie used it that he wanted proof of funds for the fight. Wilder was actually emailing him directly, and he used that against him as if to say, no, I need to speak to Shelley Finkel. And then he started going on about the Shelley Winkle thing, and he completely destroyed that relationship before it even got off into talks. So that was his way out. And meanwhile, Joshua's fighting the likes of Dominic Brazil in pay-per-views, and what do you call that big bum from America that's coming over and diving everywhere? The big drug cheat.
Jarrell Miller.
Not him. That other opponent he fought. You call him Bobic. I'm losing my mind here. I think boxing's making me lose.
Frank, Ken, it's not Babic.
No, Bobic fought him and knocked him out 2 fights ago.
I don't know what you mean anyway. We'll come back to that, Ken. Terry Harper's moved up a weight, but she had a contract to rematch that girl. What happened to Eddie? Stickler for contracts, isn't he? Shouldn't Terry Harper be rematching that girl?
Oh my word. There's no way as a trainer and a manager you would even let Terry Harper back in the ring with that girl after that fight, no matter what. The second she lost, the second that Baumgartner landed a shot, I've never seen a reaction like it on a fighter. I've never seen either that girl is a monster puncher or Terry's got problems with punch resistance, and she's been making that weight for so long. It's probably her punch resistance has probably been disappearing because she's so weight drained at that weight, so malnourished.
What you're forgetting though, Ken, we'll stop you there. What you're forgetting is I don't want to hear about weight issues because at press conference and weigh-ins, they were all with Medway, everything's great. She did all the check weigh-ins. All the check weigh-ins were done, and this was for safety reasons leading up to the fight. So don't tell me about fucking weight.
No, you're right. You're right. And the thing is, she was on doing all these strength and conditioning videos, and she was stronger than ever. And
faster, quicker than a speeding bullet.
Doing this, doing that. And that's fair enough. That's a valid point. You're right. You're absolutely right. So if she was struggling at the weight then, before that fight, why did she do the weight then? You know, why would, you know, I'm sick of hearing this crap over and over and over. Yeah, I'm struggling at the weight, but I've made it great. I'm stronger now. I'm eating all these shakes. I'm eating this meal. I'm eating ice cream on the day. No, I don't want to hear that. If you're struggling at the weight, you shouldn't be in that fight.
Why didn't she rematch Natasha Jonas? Because that was a draw, wasn't it? I mean, don't they do rematches? But Eddie loved a rematch if it were a close fight, or if he had it down as on contract, he'd make these people rematch. But now she's going up another way. Where's she going to get a world title belt now? And Katie Taylor got all belts at the next weight, at that weight now.
I'm not exactly sure on that weight. Who's okay. It's just so many belts. You know, I like women's boxing, but whenever, you know, you're not even in the top 10 or you're not even in the top 5 and there's vacant belts for fighters that aren't even in the top 5, it just, I don't even bother looking at the sanctioning bodies with that, because they're just plucking belts out of anywhere, to be quite honest. What
did you think about Shannon Courtney and Ebony Bridges, ranked number 8 and number 9, fighting for vacant belt? What about number 1 to 7? Don't that matter? How can that be a vacant fucking belt? That should be an intercontinental or an interim, shouldn't it? Or a final eliminator. How's that work? At WBA, second and back hander. How does that work? Because that won't work in men's divisions, would it?
Maybe Paul Daniels made it happen. I don't know. Pulled it out of thin air. No, it just says that how poor some of these world title fights are. You know, you've got great fighters like Natasha Jonas, you've got Katie Taylor, you've got Amanda Serrano, you've got all these Baumgardner, you've got Savannah. The girls.
Set this off, so I'm getting a bit hot now. Go on.
And I looked yesterday, and they're talking now for Katie Taylor that the big fight for her is Christine Cyborg. Like, she's not even a boxer. They're talking about this big massive fight with Christine Cyborg.
What?
They're talking now for Katie Taylor that the biggest fight out there for Katie Taylor is the Christine Cyborg fight.
What? Cyborg against Katie Taylor, be a bloodbath, that, wasn't it?
Well, you look at Cyborg in the UFC, she got smashed to pieces in about 30 seconds by Amanda Nunes. So how could that be in boxing terms? How could that be, you know, a big fight? I don't really see it as a big fight, to be quite honest.
Yeah, interesting, isn't it? Anyway, let's move on from Terry Harper. I'm disappointed she's not rematching that girl, because with right style, Ray Doyle, her trainer, could implement a game plan, and they could stay outside and try and pick her off and try and stay out of way at punches. Isn't that what you do with a big puncher? But okay, is Johnny Fisher the new Dave Allen?
It seems to be. We've got Matchroom. They kind of seem to make the cartoon characters out of certain fighters. You know, we've got Alan Bobich. He's he's kind of like a cartoon character, and they're making. That's what they're doing. It's like it's you go back to the 80s. It's like the rock and roll wrestling thing with Hulk Hogan and Randy Savage and Andre the Giant. You know, they cartoon characterize them. They get a following, and that's what kind of Matchroom do with certain fighters. And he's getting a lot of interviews. He's getting a lot of publicity. It seems to be an awful lot really early in his career because he's getting that attention. People are going to want to see him step up pretty soon, and I don't think he's ready for that at this stage of his career.
Yeah. Do you feel, Kent, that Johnny Fisher, his old man's going to get too involved with his boxing career? 'Cause every time I see him, his old man's in the picture.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes, I see that, and I think Johnny's a decent prospect. He's getting schooled well. He's getting good sparring. I think that should be what it's about at the minute. I don't think all the attention, like you look at Dave Allen when he came to Matchroom, you know, Dave Allen was doing stupid things to get attention, and to be fair to him, he got it. He got a big following, but it was kind of too early for him, and he didn't get that time to develop. And look what happened to his career after that.
Well, he's on Skid Row, isn't he? Charging 50 quid an hour to train people on pads.
50 quid an hour to do pads?
Or whether they're doing boxing lessons, it says. Somebody sent me a screenshot here.
50 quid an hour?
Dave Allen to
50.
train you. You know.
You know, his dad was talking about they wanted
Who's dad?
Johnny Fisher.
Oh, Johnny Fisher. Yeah, go on.
He was talking about they wanted the Otto Wallen fight. You know, when
Wallen, they destroyed Johnny Fisher against Wallen. You're having a laugh, aren't you?
said, that's what he said, and I'm thinking, well, no, nowhere near it. No, he's not. That's 5-6 years away, even fighting anywhere near that level. So when you hear things like that, it's not exactly what you want to be hearing from. I don't know if his dad does. His dad manage him?
I don't know, man. I don't fucking care anyway. Let's move on. Yard versus Boatsi. Does it happen?
I'm sick of hearing about Joshua Boatsi, Russell. I don't want to talk about.
Let's fuck him off. Right, next one. Barry Hearn's been given an OBE, old big head. I find that amazing, actually. He's named in Jeffrey Epstein's book. We're not accusing him of anything, but he's in Epstein's book. Middle of the trial, Barry Hearn's wheeled out at Buckingham Palace with another award, this time an OBE, which is one below. I think, has he got an MBE and OBE? Anyway, I think he might have both now. The next one's a knighthood, isn't it? I don't know what to make of all that, to be honest. I'm not sure, but do you think we can't really accuse him of anything? But it's a bit odd, that, isn't it? Do you think?
Has Frank Warren got an OBE or MBE?
No, he's not going to get one. Frankie's from the streets, isn't he? So, but I don't. Frank's a geezer, isn't he? Geezers don't get stuff like that. Barry Hearn's a networker, so he's managed to worm his way in, hasn't he? But I think it's in bad taste, do you? We could have waited at least another year.
See, to be honest with you, see all these knighthoods now and all these OBEs and all, and I'm just like, I don't pay any attention anymore. I don't see how all these £1 million millionaire sports stars, celebrities are getting all these accolades when they're millionaires. You know, I don't really follow it. It doesn't mean anything to me whatsoever. I don't care.
Okay. Conor Benn against Adrian Broner. Does it happen? If it does Conor Benn win?
Yeah, Conor Benn will smash him to pieces. Broner is past it. He with his last signature world level win, Russell.
Yeah, and a win for 4 years, or decent minister. He hasn't done that for years, has he?
Well, he won a split decision against Granados. That was a fight ago for Conor Benn. He is the size of a house. He's massive.
Fat as a pig. Michelin man with a big terrorist beard, isn't he?
I don't see how he's going to train for 3 months and get anything back to beat Conor Benn. Conor Benn's in the. To be fair to him, I'm not on the Conor Benn hype train the way you are, Russell, at the minute. The way you are, he's very dedicated. He trains hard. He's never at a gym. You just can't sit on the couch eating donuts and whatever and getting up and getting a bit of weight off and going and being. No, he's not. He's not a world level fighter anymore, Russell. He's not a world. He's in. We go back and we look at what they're doing now. You're either a contender or you're a name opponent. He's a name opponent. He's not a contender. He's not going to beat Conor Ben.
Yeah. Okay. Callum Johnson against Joe Smith Jr. for WBO. You think that's a good fight?
It's going to be a 3-round war.
Yeah. Do you think the winner gets Canelo?
Well, that's what Bob Arum was talking about last night. I think Canelo is it could go. Don't be surprised if Canelo goes to top rank for a deal. Don't be.
Who's Canelo, Kent?
I'm trying to pronounce it. Come on. I've had elocution lessons with this. So, yeah, I think Canelo probably goes to Bob Arum next. The way that he's talking about it, and you could see maybe something. He's talking about Eddie Risotto being his mate now and being a great coach and this and that. I don't see why not.
Eddie who?
Reynoso.
Reynoso,
yeah. He was talking last night about Reynoso being such a great coach and friend.
They don't give a fuck about Bob Arum. They probably want to put him in an home, sat in a Shackleton's high seat chair, mate. They don't give two fucks for the Bob father. They care about money. That's why they're whoring themselves out with no contract at the moment to TV networks.
You know, he's not talking about the amount of failed drug tests coming out of that gym, Messi.
Okay.
He's not talking about that.
Yeah. Khan Brook sold out in 10 minutes. Look, we all know why it sold out in 10 minutes. Loads of people are comped. Stubble took a big chunk of tickets, fighters did, and that's why it only took 10 minutes to sell 3,000 tickets for the fans. The other 17,000, they're all StubHub and sponsors and comped, aren't they? So, and for fighters. They're talking about it like it's the second coming of Joshua Vladimir or Fox Groves or something with ticket selling. But when tickets, a large part, 75% of tickets percent are going to StubHub, there's only a few to sell anyway, isn't there? But Sky must think we're stupid putting that out there. But I'm glad in a way that the all tickets have gone. But it'll be interesting to see StubHub drop the prices leading up to fight week, you know, because there's loads of tickets left. So I still think that people will be able to get in on the night. Do you know what I mean? So I'm not buying into all that. It's sold out and all that. I'm not buying into it. Not when you've got a secondary ticket market, secondary ticket people involved. Do you know what I mean?
I think the board should be involved in that to stop that. But
fucking board, fucking do me a favour.
It sounds good, doesn't it? It sounds romantic that they have sold out in 10 minutes. It seems to be. You look at the last lot of shows in the UK before Christmas, they didn't really sell, so it just looks good for them to say that they've sold out in 10 minutes. It's a good story. It kind of sells the fight better for the pay-per-view market, where people think, well, everyone, they sold 20,000 tickets, so we'll just buy it on pay-per-view. It is a good fight because people have bought the tickets. That's what it seems to me. But I don't know what way, things are happening at the minute in the UK with sitting indoors, the COVID restrictions. Will it even happen in February?
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what's happening, isn't it, moving forward, Ken? All right. Judging. Can we at least try judging where they put scores up every round at the end of every round? Do you think that we should try it for 1 year? Just try it for a year and see what everybody thinks instead of just doing it for 1 or 2 shows like they did a few years ago. Let's do it for a year. What do you think? And everybody across the board.
I'm not for it and I'm not against it. What happens at a big show, right? Say there's a big massive show one of the big promoters, and an away fighter turns up and is boxing the head of a home fighter, and the home fighter sees it, and the trainer sees it and says, "Oh, that's wrong. We're going. I'm walking out of the fight." What happens if something like that would happen? You know, no, I don't know. I don't know if that's the way forward. I don't think that's the problem. I think the judging, and I think the judging itself's the problem. I don't think it's the actual system.
Okay. Can you see Conor McGregor versus Jake Paul in 2022?
Well, Conor McGregor isn't a full-time fighter anymore. He gets beat every time he steps up a level. I wouldn't be surprised. It depends on the contract he has left with the UFC. If he's under any type of contract with the UFC, no, because Dana White isn't going to share a platform with a YouTuber now. Yes, he shared the platform with Mayweather, and it made a lot of commercial sense at the time because it's Floyd Mayweather. Jake Paul or Logan Paul or whatever you call him isn't Mayweather. I think Dana is a wee bit, I don't know, he seems to be a wee bit defensive with the numbers. He's always on damning the numbers that the Paul brothers are doing. He's kind of downplaying it. So I don't think that Dana would want to work with the Paul brothers because of his own business.
Okay. Well, it's a good fight, though, isn't it? Conor McGregor against Jake Paul. I'd tune into it.
Nah, I don't. They talk about Conor being this great striker and all, and this great boxer, and you know, he had only one shot, two shots. You know, he looked really poor against Mayweather as a boxing match. I don't really want to see that, to be honest. I wouldn't tune in. I wouldn't buy it. They're two names, but they're not caliber world level fighters, to be honest.
They're not worthy of a pay-per-view at the sport of boxing, are they?
As pugilists, no, but they're massive names. So as names and celebrities and name brand value, yes. But as a boxing spectacle, no, definitely not.
Okay. Jack Catterall against Josh Taylor, who wins?
Josh Taylor.
Okay. Fraser Clark, does he win a world title?
No.
Okay. Chris Eubank Jr. against Williams. That's an exciting fight, isn't it?
Good fight. Yeah, it's a really, really good fight. It's a domestic fight. I think what's going to happen in the next year, there's going to be a lot more domestic fights happening because restrictions and flying people over and this and that. So yeah, it's a brilliant fight. You know, you've got Eubanks, who was working with Adam Booth, and now Liam Williams is working with Adam Booth. So there's a bit of needle there. But yeah, it's a brilliant fight. One come forward fighter and Liam Williams. I don't like this new. I wouldn't even class it as an improved style of Eubank. I don't like that style he's got now. It doesn't interest me the way he was before, you know, against Abraham, against George Groves, those type of fights. This new Eubank style, it doesn't really excite me as much.
Yeah. Keep having to wipe camera because it's hot in here. Got eating on. Okay. Somebody sent me a video by Sporting Icons. I only had to watch the first 2 minutes of it. He's going into bat for Dillian Whyte, saying he's been lowballed with his offer against Fury, but it looks like Sporting Icons is the only YouTuber out there who's going into bat for Whyte. What do you think about the situation? Is Sporting Icons basically trying to do somebody a favour, Dillian Whyte a favour doing that? Because Sporting
He,
does know his boxing, doesn't
he's brilliant. He's absolutely brilliant. He is very knowledgeable. His videos are excellent. No, he is brilliant at his job. But he's already said this, Russell, that he's a mate, he's a friend of Dillian Whyte, and he's not saying he's not. So I'm not going to rinse him for it, because he's already said that he's team Dillian Whyte. So if that's his buddy and that's his mate, fair play to him. But if you look at it from our perspective, we're not in any camp. So we're just saying, we look, if you've offered 5.5 million from getting 300,000, I know the deal I would take. Like, I know what I would be saying.
Okay. What were you fighting year? Last year? Oh, this year, sorry. What were you fighting year?
Oh my word. I liked Crawford and Porter. I thought that was a brilliant fight. Absolutely. I liked it. I just like seeing really, really top level fighters fighting. I know Porter was a wee bit past his best. I thought Crawford's skill level. I thought that the level of the two guys was amazing in what they were doing. So yeah, I'm not one of these guys that just wants to see Rocky style fights, blood and guts, droppage, everybody getting dropped, getting hurt. I like seeing a good level, skill level fight. That for me, that defines you look at Barrera and Morales won. It was an absolute war. But you look at the level of technique and ability on both fighters. For me, that's one of my favorite fights of all time. So I look at that. I look at the skill level of delivery of punches, the way the fight's panning out. That was one of my, that for me, that was my fight of the year.
Okay. Trainer of the year, or across the board?
Oh my word. I'm lost.
Eddie Reynoso, I'm going to go for Ring Magazine Trainer of the year.
Nah, I'm not going to go with that because of the whole Oscar Valdez drug test. So no, I can't have him in there, to be honest. I can't. I don't really follow.
Boxer of the year.
World level, internationally.
Across the board, that's international. Who's your boxer of the year, Kent, or fighter of the year?
I like Alexander Usyk. He's come up to heavyweight and he's unified the division. He's unified cruiserweight. Yeah, I'm going to go for Alexander Usyk.
Wasn't he undisputed at cruiser?
Undisputed at cruiser, yeah.
Okay. Manager of the year.
I like Neil Marsh. I like him. I think he's done.
He's been shit on though, hasn't he? Neil Marsh, by the powers that be, hasn't he?
Yeah, I like Neil Marsh. I think he's a really, really good manager. I think he's built a stable up well. I like him. I think he's done a good job.
Okay. Who's the worst manager of the year? I've gone Sam Jones for not going in.
Jones, yeah.
Not going into bat for Joe Joyce. I can understand where he's coming from, Sam Jones, because when you first get into boxing, you want to be everybody's pal. Then you realise that it's 95% shit talkers. Do you know what I mean? But he's wanted to keep Warren happy, Earn happy, and it was all detrimental to Joe Joyce's career, wasn't it, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Promoter of the year, I've gone for Mick Hennessy in the UK.
Yeah, Mick Hennessy.
TV platform of the year.
To be honest with you, the fights on like Sky and BT haven't been great. They haven't been what they should have been. I'm going to go with Channel 5 because it's terrestrial TV. Boxing started off in terrestrial television, and Mick's had 3 deals with 3 terrestrial televisions. So I'm going to go Channel 5.
Okay. YouTube channel of the year.
I'm going to go between, I like Sport and Icons and Seconds Out.
You fucking turncoat.
I don't mind them. Any of them else, it's just I don't know. I just think Seconds Out, with the whole, I like their interviews about, they spoke very passionately about when Dillian Whyte pulled out against Otto Vollen, and they called it out. They weren't hiding. So I like them, and I think Sport and Icons stuff is good as well, but he's very biased to Dillian Whyte. So their stuff's pretty good.
Didn't Seconds Out pull that Mark Tibbs interview that they did with him regarding him and Whyte splitting? They pulled the video, did the same as Coogan did as well. So that to me is shithouse behaviour.
They all did. Yeah, it was disappointing, that whole situation, to be quite honest. It was very disappointing.
Okay. Let's have a look. I think we're more or less out of time, Ken. Is there anything you want to say or add?
I think we've just went at it, really, Russell, haven't we? We've just went at it.
I'm done more or less done an hour when I wrap it up. Yeah, it's been a good chat on a Wednesday morning. Thought I'd show my face. People keep emailing me saying I've been kicked out here. Kicked out here. I don't really need this, to be honest, but no, I've been kicked out here. What people don't know on social media, they make up, but no, I've not been kicked out here. It's been off, got a bit of time out. I know sometimes it can do your head in this sort of thing, doesn't it? But,
yeah, a lot of work involved in the background, and looking at content and looking at stuff and traveling and getting time. If you're doing 2 or 3 videos a day, say you have 3 hours, you have a half an hour maybe in between, maybe someone's late 10 minutes, maybe you're late 10 minutes, maybe it takes an hour to get stuff. It's a lot of stuff it's a lot of work in the background, getting everything sorted. It's not like, yeah, we'll do an hour video and that's it. There's a lot of work, and I think when you're taking in information all the time, you can just get, your central nervous system just gets burnt out by it. So you need a bit of a break from it.
I've escaped tunnel and watched that World War II thing over the last few nights. I've just been to Essex and Kent. There's a video in production. Well, at Essex, I've got to go back next couple of days and then go to Kent and go see my pals again down there. But I'll do some filming when I get down there. I might do elements some way down there, make it a bit different this time instead of doing it in a studio. Just trying different things. You know what I mean? Just, you've got to try, haven't you? Jazz it up a bit. But it's all good. It's all good stuff. Okie dokie then. Well, listen, what you got planned for the rest of the day, Ken?
Nothing really. It's kind of like we're still in between, like, no man's land between Christmas and New Year. There's nothing really happening. I think everyone's just still in holiday mode. So I'll probably just go and do a bit of training today. I'm actually going to do a run as well and just get on with it as normal. Just do what I do in a normal day. And I think I've drunk so much Coke and had so much turkey and food, and I just need to get back in the routine again of normality. And Christmas is done, so just get back to normality again, I suppose.
At least you can keep weight on, man. I've just got weighed this morning, 157 pounds, which is I want to be 168. So I'm struggling all them years trying to get it off. Now I can't put the fucker on. But it's all good, isn't it?
You just need to throw you maybe need to liquidate some Mars bars into your protein shakes or something like that there.
I've got shares in them Bullet blenders, I think. Keep wrecking them.
I like all day long. Well, so here it could be worse, Russell. You could be worse. You could be trying to get it off and it's not coming off.
I know, yeah. Okie dokie. Well, listen, you take care, Ken. Have a great day, and I'll speak to you again.
All the best, Russell.
Take care, mate. Cheers, mate. Well, that was Kent. The hardcore's hardcore. One thing Kent don't chat, and that's hang on a minute. That's not good, is it? I think batteries are going. Kent don't chat bullshit. To change batteries on that. Well, I enjoyed that chat with Ken. I'd love to go over and see him one weekend. Have a little drive over there. You could get a boat, can't you, from on northwest coast, is it? Out Blackpool way or a bit further up from there. Is it Holyhead? Get a boat over there, drive over there. I'd love to go over there, but it's really green island. I'd like to go over and see Kent, but enjoyed that chat with him. I just thought I'd get something done this morning. I think this was 22nd video, is it, for month for YouTube? That's that one in production, so that's 23. So you've had 3 extra ones. You've had your 10 members, so can't do any more, can I? So, okie dokie. I think I'm going to go get a hot chocolate from Costa or McDonald's or something. Drive through. I think half an hour on somewhere will warm me up. Okie dokie. Peace out.